Good morning and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two Kentucky straight bourbon whiskeys, no age statement, both 80 proof, and both from Buffalo Trace, the Sazerac Company. This is Old Charter, old number 8, no longer 8-year aged. Introduced 1874. Runs about $16 per bottle, but I found my bottle at Walmart for $8. True story, $8. Here is Jethro T. Boot, introduced in 2014. Kentucky straight bourbon, sour mash, though. This is a sour mash bourbon. The other one is not. You can notice the bottle is very familiar. Same glass bottle design as what? McAfee's Old Number 8. Benchmark, McAfee's Benchmark, Old Number 8. Same bottle design as Ancient Age, and same bottle design as Canadian Hunter, which is shipped to Frankfort, Kentucky, and bottled by Buffalo Trace. So these are common bottle design for many of their products. Okay, who's going to win? Well, it's hard to say. They both, like I said, 80 proof, no age statement, both from the same company in Kentucky. I put a link below for the Old Charter whiskey. There's three different links for it. There's the Sazerac website. There's a website called greatbourbons.com, which is run by Buffalo Trace Sazerac. And then there's the Buffalo Trace Distillery website. And all three feature write-ups on Old Charter. Do they still make Old Charter at 10-year age? I don't think so, but with Sazerac, you never know what they're putting out on the market. You never know what you'll run across. There's different oak versions. There's a website for the Old Charter Oak series. They don't talk about the regular Old Charter on it, but it talks about the Mongolian oak, the French oak, and so forth. And they said they're going to start. They have 4 right now. I've never seen them, and they're going to start putting out states. In other words, oak barrels from various states, like Florida, some kind of oak variety, Louisiana swamp oak or water oak or whatever, so it's going to be limited. I mean, it's limited now. Old Charter is pretty common. In this town, I know Walmart sells it. I don't know about the other stores. I know Walmart sells it. I used to talk about that liquor store, Jam's bottles up, but they went out of business. I knew they would. I don't know. When they opened that store, I was like, why are you opening a liquor store in a town where every gas station, convenience store, which is the same thing basically, and grocery store sells liquor, except for Aldi. They don't sell liquor. They never got a liquor license around here. In Europe they do, but not in the United States. But I mean, everybody else sells liquor, so why are they going to make a special trip to Jam's bottles up to buy liquor? Well, the answer, they didn't, and it didn't make it. It was a nice little store, but I could see they weren't going to survive. So you open a liquor store in towns that only allow liquor sales in a liquor store, right? Not in a town or a state where everybody can sell liquor. You're not going to make it. There are exceptions like Elio's Wine Warehouse, Martin Fine Wine and Spirits in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. But these places are huge, you see, and they have a much wider variety of wine that you would ever find at a grocery store. They just don't have the room to have it. So they can make it because of their wide scale, but a small liquor store with limited availability is not going to make it, because you could just go to the grocery store and find the limited availability in many cases. Now, Mathern's has a big availability of big selection of liquor and wine. probably maybe too much for that, the size of town they're in. A lot of it probably just sits there. Looks nice. You say, wow, look at this selection. It's amazing. But how much of it is really moving? And with beer, it's the most, I guess wine will last a long time depending on the style in the bottles. But with beer, that's going to go stale pretty fast. They got the fastest expiration time, frame. So can't really have that sitting up there. All right. Well, enough of that. These are both golden, like I showed you. Amber gold, so appearance won't matter. We know it's not the same whiskey poured in two different bottles with different labels because, after all, one is sour mash and the other one does not claim to be sour mash bourbon. Then there's this whole write-up about Jethro T. Boots, some pioneer in the whiskey business that you never heard of, including me, until I found this bottle. But see, that's what these liquor companies do. They'll find some obscure person and make it like they were really important, but then they don't have to pay for the name or anything because it's so disconnected to the reality. And Heaven Hill does the same thing. They got all these brands like Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, and so forth. And it makes it seem like, oh, these are, people say, I like Elijah Craig. They do good work. Well, they don't exist. Okay. There's no Elijah Craig distillery. There's no Evan Williams distillery. It'll say 1783. But then Evan Williams hadn't been around since like 1955. They just make up this. I'm not saying there wasn't an Evan Williams, and I'm not saying there wasn't a distillery in 1783. There was some connection, but it's not connected to what they're putting out today. It's just, like I said, they dredge up these old names and they try to make it look like, oh yeah, Evan Williams been distilling liquor since 1783. Sazerac does it. The McAfee brothers, yeah, it's got no relationship to benchmark whiskey. Now, Old Charter, yeah, that is an actual brand that has been on the market since 1874. Okay, now maybe during Prohibition they made Old Charter whiskey flavored non-alcoholic drink or something, but it's been around that long. Jack Daniels, okay, that's an actual distillery that really did start in 1866, and so you just gotta study the history to really figure it out. Now, McAfee's on the back, there's a sticker that says intended for sale at CVS Pharmacy. If found elsewhere, call this number. So they want you to call them if you see it at another store. Maybe they'll give you a reward. Produced and bottled by the Legacy Distilling Company. Mm-hmm. Well, that's just a name. It's a made-up name because there is no Legacy Distilling Company. It's a trade name, and that's allowed as long as it's registered with the U.S. government. It is a trade name for Buffalo Trace. And Buffalo Trace, I think I counted 130. There were 130 different alias names that they use. What the U.S. government calls assumed names. Is it meant to deceive? Well, what do you think? They could call it all the Sazerac Company. And they could say from Buffalo Trace, a division of the Sazerac Company, or owned directly by the Sazerac. They don't do that. They put all these aliases. And Heaven Hill does it. The only company that doesn't seem to do it is Brown-Forman. They'll just put on every bottle, Brown-Forman. Corbel Brandy, Brown-Forman. Jack Daniel. Well, that's true. They say Jack Daniel's Distillery. They don't mention Brown-Forman on the bottle. Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Okay. Smells typical, which doesn't imply it smells bad. I'm just saying it smells typical. Smells like regular old standard bourbon. Sweet sugar water, sweet corn, vanilla, a little bit of charred oak, not too much. Arvin says, "Hi, Ron. Cheers. Looking forward to Scotch taste challenges." Oh, well, that's coming, Arvin. Just you're gonna have to be patient because when I get through the bourbon, I got to do American. I do it in order. I always do it in a sequence. So I got American blended whiskey coming up, the Iron Horse, and when you see the bottle, you're gonna know who makes it. And then it's Canadian blended, and then it's Irish blended whiskey. Then we'll finally be to single malt Scotch. That's gonna. When can we expect Scotch? Yeah. So what I'm telling you, I don't know how long that's going to take. You see, because it may be like 3 months, maybe in July. Single malt Scotch. And I think I'm going to do the God, what's the name of that stuff? I've been sitting on that bottle for 2 years. It's a 10-year age. It's 10-year age. I got a good deal on it. I got it for $20. Or was it $20.99? $21, $20.99. This one smells like the other one, but it doesn't have as much aroma. It's like weaker, and I think that's the boots. The thing about the boots, it doesn't taste bad, but it's kind of weak. It doesn't have much flavor. I think it's called Glencullen. Hey, if you watch this video to the end, Arvin, and you remind me at the end, I'll go get the bottle and show you because I know where the bottle is. And then we'll do blended Scotch. And I got White Horse. I know what blended Scotch because I already did a duo review. It's called White Horse, and I did a solo review. White Horse blended Scotch whiskey, been on the market since 1890. Although they put a different date on the bottle, but it got nothing to do with the whiskey. It's just about how they had this restaurant. You know, it's like they start all the same way. Like this guy had a restaurant, and then he had this carriage service, stagecoach service from Edinburgh, Scotland to London. And then they decided we're going to start selling a whiskey brand. You know how that works. Same thing like Chivas Regal. It was a grocery store, and they turned into this big whiskey empire. And a lot of these companies don't even make their own whiskey. They just pay somebody to do it for them. It's common. It's common in the United States with beer and liquor and wine too. So it's not a big scandal like it's some big secret. We have a lot of independent bottlers in the United States. They have a name, they have an office, and they got no facilities. All right. But they make pretty good stuff, or they procure pretty good stuff. This has vanilla, a little charred oak, a little bit of corn, a good amount of corn. How about rye? Yeah, a little rye spice. Sazerac products, supposedly, people say tend to be a little higher rye than average, and that could be the case. But it's so minimal, really. I think people overdo talking about that, like it's some big thing, like it's some big difference when really it's just like a minor difference, or even in some cases, in most cases, an inconsequential difference. Okay, so what we have here, they're both sugary sweet, because most bourbon to me tastes like sugar water. They both have vanilla, maybe a little honeysuckle nectar, and very faint charred oak. To think they have a lot of charred oak, nah, forget it. They don't really. They're sort of basic. Now, my friend David was getting on my case on the phone. You need to stop buying all these kind of products and buy some really good stuff. You only live once, and going on and on. I was like, I get that, but I'm just dealing with what I'm dealing with right now, these products. I want to go through these, okay? I'm hearing what he's saying. I'm just not following what he's saying. You understand? I'm not listening to it. I told him, I said, do you know how much back stock of bourbon I have right now. And he was like, it's all junk. I said, it's not all junk. He says, all $10 bottles. I said, no, it's not. That's not true. I said, I got Bird Dog. He said, well, name one. It was something like name. I just, off the top of my head, I said, I got Bird Dog. Bird Dog, he yells out. Bird Dog. And he's like, who the whatever drinks Bird Dog? That was his, who drinks Bird Dog? Well, I'm not saying a lot of people drink it, but it's out there. It exists, isn't it? I see it on the shelves. Not, you know, it's a product. See a lot of people drinking Old Charter. I don't. I see a lot of people drinking Jack Daniels. Okay, Jim Beam. This is like the battle of the bland, not the battle of the bands, the battle of the blands. You know, it's like they're both kind of dull. I'm not going to say they taste nasty. They taste off-putting, you know, unpleasant. There's nothing like that, but there ain't much happening. Okay. So if you buy these and you're thinking, wow, can you get a great bourbon for under $10? The answer is probably not. But you're not going to get a bad one. You know, so I don't know why these people paying the same exact price to get an American blended whiskey that's almost always inferior, you know, to straight bourbon. Now that is true. But they'll do it, you know, this. Well, okay, Seagram 7 Crown is not inferior, but then it ain't under $10. So that doesn't even fit the argument. It's a lot better than normal. It's a lot better. It's probably the best American blended whiskey, at least that I've tried. Seagram 7 Crown. And you know how popular that is. You see that everywhere. I see people buying that constantly. Well, it's better than, it's a lot better concoction. But it's not straight bourbon. So, not much to say about Jethro T Boots. Not much to say about Old Charter. Would I recommend it? Well, I guess. Yeah, if you can get it for $8 like I did. Got it for $8 at Walmart. They had it for half price. They were just trying to get rid of those bottles because they went only to the handles. It's like lately Walmart only wants to sell handles, you know, the big jug bottles. So they've been getting rid of all their like regular bottles, going to the handles. I guess they did a market study, inventory sales study that showed that the handles sold a lot more. So, you know, gonna focus on what sells, right? Yeah, it's charred oak and so forth. In reality, this is a dead tie. All right, so I paid $8.99 for the Jethro T Boots plus tax with the CVS loyalty card, which is free to get, so it didn't really cost me anything. And I paid $8 even for Old Charter, $8.99 versus $8. Yeah, so something to try. I'm going to say that this is the this is the Jethro T Boots because it tastes a little blander. And does the sour mash technique seem to make a difference here? Well, I don't see it where it does, but some might claim so, but I don't see. It tastes like the same and the same, but maybe a little less flavor here. No, that's the Old Charter, so I got it wrong. So Old Charter couldn't beat its hidden relative, its outcast sister or brother that they keep chained up in the attic. Like in Jane Eyre, was that Jane Eyre? That could be Jethro T Boots' tagline. Jethro T Boots, slightly better than Old Charter. Now, when you think about it in the normal pricing, it is a winner because it's $8.99 last time I checked. Now, it could have gone up $1. Say it's $9.99. But Old Charter is $16 everywhere. At the lowest end, you're going to find it for $16. So it's much cheaper per bottle, and it has slightly better flavor. So why would you ever buy Old Charter? My answer would be I would not. Just watch your Jose Cuervo silver review. Cheers, Ron. Oh, that was a fun review. It really was. It went kind of long because I was trying to go into all the details about it and everything. But it was, yeah, I appreciate you watching. That's a good product. People like to slag on it now. Talk about a product people like to hate on. Jose Cuervo is one of your top products. Budweiser, of course. Jack Daniels, they hate that, you know. But Cuervo, man, that's the one people, that's the whipping boy, you know. Cuervo, I hate it. Now, this is a good one. Avion. Oh, man. Okay, anybody? Last chance. If you want to see that single malt scotch that's coming up in a few months, let me know now. I'm going to count it down and I'm out of here. If you want to see it going once, you want to see it going twice, if you want to see it going. So that's it. But you'll see it when it comes around. And that's that. All right. Thanks. Oh, let's see. Well, you caught it quick, BC, because I was like, my hand was on the button. Okay, so I had it right. It is called Glencullen. I thought I was saying it wrong. It is called Glencullen. 10-year aged. And I got it for $20.99. You say, who makes it? You're never going to find out who makes it, believe me. It says Glencullen 10-year is a world-class Speyside Scotch. Crafted with the finest single malt and matured in select oak casks. Well, you read that on every whiskey bottle you ever buy. The finest. Now, how do they know it's world class? Because they make it. That's why they claim it is. Oh, County Line Distillers, Kentucky, bottled by County Line Distillers. Well, what do you know? You know who County Line Distillers is? It's Sazerac. Buffalo Trace. Well, how about that? Distilled, matured, and bottled in Scotland. Wait a minute. Oh, not bottled in Louisville. Imported by County Line. Okay, so Sazerac buys it from Scotland already bottled. But, yeah, and there it is. Anytime you see County Line Distillers, that's Sazerac. Okay, so is Glencullen any good? Well, I couldn't tell you that. It's never been open. There may be some video reviews, or I haven't checked. All right, well, y'all, because I got 3 months before I ever try it. So y'all take care now. Bye-bye.